I think it's fair to say he's got shooter's amnesia, and he's not afraid to take the next big one. But both of them were on plays where the ball was inside and then got cut and then sprayed out. So they were good plays. It was the right play. It was the right shot at the right time.
What were you thinking when you made a little slip pass to Crowder for the three?
I had confidence he was going to make it. Before that, I told Crowder, even though he missed a couple shots, I said, you got some big shots in you. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, I know, and that was it. When I was, dribbled myself, snap, I'm at 15 feet. I'm about to end this one time. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about MJ passing to Steve Kerr. And I was like, well, let me just add that. Let me add that to, my legacy. And I'll pass one time, and that was it.
On the Evan Turner reel.
Basically. And it was unbelievable, actually, ingenious by me, you know what I'm saying? And that was it.
I have no idea what just happened, but somehow the Celtics just beat the 76ers 84-80. Let's talk about it. Garden Report, CLNS Radio, and Celtics blog powered by Grandstands. Welcome to the show. I'm Jared Weiss from CLNS Radio. I am back in the saddle, although I won't be here next game. We'll talk about that later. Tom Westerholm from Mass Live joining me tonight. And what the hell happened in this game?
Well, the Celtics almost lost to the Philadelphia 76ers, and that sentence really has to hurt Brad Stevens and pretty much everybody involved in this game. Just kind of an atrocious game, and then a good 2 minutes to end it. So it's the Celtics way, I guess.
I think pretty much anyone that's ever lived in the city of Boston at one point in their life is probably saddened by the way things were going for the first, 42 minutes of the game until the Celtics kind of turned things around the last 6 minutes.
I think that's probably true, except for Phil Pressey, who would be the reverse. But yeah,
all-time high pride.
Honestly, it was just an ugly game. The Celtics looked. Stevens called them tight afterward, which may or may not be the case. It might have just been that they were bad still. They were good out of the gate, 12-2 to start off. A lot of energy in the first couple of minutes, and then everything just kind of maybe it did tighten up. The ball movement kind of stopped, a lot of bad jumpers, some questionable shot selection, and just the 76ers took over in the paint. The Celtics couldn't do anything in there against the length, against the shot blocking, a ton of turnovers, and they really kind of had to rally at the end to pull that one out.
All right, let's table the bad stuff for part two here. Let's talk about the Jae Crowder three to win the game with 38 seconds left. They have kind of like a scramble, and then Evan Turner's driving kind of over the top of the key. He slips a pass just like this, just like straight backwards pass, no look, to Crowder, and nails a three. And, as we saw at the top of the show, Turner's comments were just legendary afterwards. He really cemented, I think his comments really cemented his legacy more than his actual play.
I think that's going to be the case for him with Celtics beat writers at this point. Everybody kind of loves talking to Evan Turner after the game. After the game, Stevens called Crowder's confidence shot amnesia, which was pretty good. I think, he had just missed 2 free throws, was not having a good game shooting the ball, but that three was huge. And it capped off what was really a nice defensive run for the Celtics, getting a couple of turnovers. Avery Bradley ripped Robert Covington in just a way that Covington should be embarrassed about right before that to set up that three-pointer and that opportunity for the Celtics. So again, it was a nice way to kind of end the fourth quarter. Isaiah Thomas said it gave them confidence going forward, and that's a positive.
And Ian Turner talked about the fact that Bradley asked if he could switch on to Covington for the stretch of that game, and then Covington had 4 turnovers there, and that was really what propelled the Celtics, was that they weren't playing, I'm going to call it Marcus Smart basketball for most of this game, and then when they make that switch, Bradley is forcing turnovers, and how many steals did he have tonight? So he had, where is he on the stat sheet? 2, there we go, 2 steals. They had 7 steals, although the Sixers had 11, with Covington having 6, which is just absurd. But having Bradley force turnovers, getting Isaiah Thomas exploding in transition, that's what won them the game. And they went on that huge run at the end because Isaiah was just going into transition, drawing fouls, actually hitting shots, and of course they hit a few threes finally at the end of the game.
Absolutely, and like it's been this whole season, the Celtics they desperately need those turnovers to create their offense. That wasn't happening for the first part of the game, and that's against not good point guards. The Sixers do not have anybody who should be really capable of
Although we love
the ball.
You, Phil.
Yeah, apologies to Phil Pressey.
All due respect.
But they really don't have anybody who's capable of handling the ball against people who pressure like the Celtics do, against a Crowder, against a Bradley, against a Smart, who obviously makes a huge difference for this team, as we're seeing over and over again. Came together at the end, started getting those steals, started getting that offense, and that was really important.
So how badly do they miss Marcus Smart? Because, I know they pulled it out at the end. Obviously, the Sixers are an NBA basketball team, but barely an NBA basketball team. You know, and they really have to trust the process, I guess, after tonight's win. But ever since Smart went down, it's been kind of a disaster for the Celtics. Stevens lost his shit on the team after the last game, and everyone in the locker room pretty much acknowledged that. We asked Isaiah Thomas after the game how was Brad at halftime, when even though they were only down, was it 47-40 at halftime, but they were like god awful in that first half. And he said that Brad was actually just pretty encouraging. He wasn't as down and pissed off as he was the game before. He was trying to just tell them to do your job, and stole that one from Belichick, I guess, and try to just be persistent and confident. And they came out there in the second half, and it didn't really happen until really the end of the game. But with Smart out there, he's someone that actually can do that for them for 4 to 8 minutes. And with him gone, they miss it dearly. It's pretty apparent.
It is, and I think it's worth noting that, all of the turnovers that they create, Smart creates, maybe, at most, like, his steals are maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 in like a really great game. But it's kind of also the intensity that he brings, and just kind of the way that the ball handlers have to fear him. They end up fearing everybody else as well. It's kind of the tone that he sets, and just the way that he defends that really kind of rubs off on everybody else, but also rubs off on the offense and just kind of makes the opposing team afraid to handle the ball. That's really important. I think that's something that the Celtics are really missing right now.
And I mean, the Philly just drove at them at will pretty much the entire game. They were not concerned. And of course, the Celtics were trying to drive through traffic, and they were fumbling the ball away. And I mean, this game had 18 turnovers from Philly and 16 from the Celtics. It felt like more, honestly. It was really one of the sloppiest games we've seen all year.
It was. I mean, and that's what's going to happen if you play a close game against the Sixers. And to the Sixers' credit, they did play extremely hard. And when you have a team that's desperate for a win and playing extremely hard and also not good at all, you're going to get a sloppy game, and that's the way they're going to eventually come away with a win, assuming they don't go 0-82. It's going to be by mucking up the game, just making it ugly, and trying to make things difficult for the other team. And the best way they can do that is by playing, forcing them to play sloppy.
Yeah, this was one of Philly's best chances to snap that streak, and they almost pulled it off, but they really blew it there at the end. All right, we're going to come back for part 2. We're going to do our grandstand play of the game in part 2 because it's going to feed into our non-Celtics conversation we're going to have about Kobe Bryant, which will be interesting. And then we got to talk about Ja because it's murder. So we'll be right back on the Garden Report on CLNS Radio and Celtics Blog. What was Brad like at halftime?
Just stay at it, long game. A lot of things didn't go our way, but next play mentality. He wasn't really tripping. He was just keep making plays, keep getting stops, and we'll be in it in the end.